guys. So I was asked to share my story, my testimony, if you will. And I love doing this because I was in my active addiction for so long. I never thought I would find my way out of it. And that is real talk, okay? I never thought I would be clean. I didn't want to. I just felt like I had been in my active addiction for way too long, and that there was no way that I could create a life after addiction from all the things that I had done during my active addiction. The things that, we do. I didn't think that there was any coming back from that. So anyways, who am I? My name is Krista Turner. And I am a recovering heroin and crack addict. I have been sober for a little over 19 months, which is crazy for me. Every day. I celebrate every single day. I celebrate every hour, every week, every month. I celebrate it because it is a miracle. It really is. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So I believe that my addictive behaviors surfaced long before I picked up that first drug, right? And well, you can get into the whole disease versus choice argument. Everybody has an opinion, and that's what makes this world go round, right? It's what makes us different. My opinion is that I have a disease. I have a disease, and I made the choice to use drugs instead of finding coping skills, coping mechanisms for my trauma, and to treat the disease of addiction. And then I made the choice to get sober, and I made a choice to work a program of recovery. So anyways, backtrack. I started using drugs early in life. 12 years old, I think. I started experimenting with hallucinogenics and all that stuff. I'm not really going to get into too much of like war stories or anything like that. But, I had childhood trauma, childhood sexual abuse at the hands of my father. And that was suppressed because nobody believed me. And I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but it's not easy. But I suppressed it and continued on with life, and which was obviously not the best thing to do. And then I just continued using and got into harder drugs. And school, I don't even know how I graduated. I was high at school every single day almost, and it was crazy. After I graduated high school, I had my son, who is now 11 years old. I got my ish together for a little while, playing house, right? But I wasn't working any type of program for recovery, and it proved unsuccessful. Let's just say that, okay? So my life quickly spiraled out of control when I found heroin, right? I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but it can take hold of you, and makes me a little emotional and talk about it now, because to think about the grip that it had on me, on my soul, on my mind, on my body, it's not an easy thing to break. And I know, I promise I know, I suffered from that addiction for a decade. So it progressed, and I started stealing and racking up charges for breaking and entering and aiding and abetting and all these things. And that landed me in prison for the first time. And I did 2 years the first time. And, that wasn't enough to get me sober, because I wasn't willing. I wasn't willing to work a program. I just pissed that time away. in prison and not working on myself, like just getting into the shenanigans of prison life, which is stupid now that I think back on it. But anyways, I got out and went right back to using. Shocker, right? But this time it was even worse, because each time we go back out, it doesn't get any better. It doesn't plateau. We don't learn how to control it. It doesn't work like that if you're like me, you know. It spiraled out of control. You know, I lost custody of my son before I went to prison when he was 15 months old, and he went to live with my mother. And this time I had to find a way to support my drug habit without stealing, because I was like, oh, I learned that lesson. I'm not going to go back to prison for stealing, but let me start prostituting myself, because that is a good idea. Such a good idea, right? So I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but it was a hard road. I put myself in dangerous situations with people I had no clue who they were or what they were capable of. And this went on for years. I was using heroin by IV, which is dangerous in itself. I was living on the streets. I was walking, getting into anybody's car. I didn't have any sense of like safety, you know. It was this life of chaos and this cycle of self-destruction, day in and day out, trying to figure out, like waking up dope sick and trying to figure out who I'm gonna get today so I can get my fix. But it didn't just happen once that day. It was all throughout the day, all day, every day. That's all my life consisted of. I had left my family, any friends that I had, which wasn't many, because I was in my active addiction since childhood. And it was just insane. I was living on the streets. I needed that fix more than I needed somewhere to stay. I needed that fix more than I needed something to eat. Most of the time, it was drugs or cigarettes. And drugs always won. Always. So throughout that active addiction with shooting dope and smoking crack, and I contracted hepatitis C from sharing needles. And I used to tell people, I don't do that. I don't do that. But that was a lie, because I did it. I used under any means necessary. Any means necessary. and that happened. So I contracted hepatitis C. And then I found myself super sick. Like super sick. And I was like, I can't breathe. I can barely walk. Like, what is going on? Like, I was dying. And so I had no other choice but to check myself into the hospital. And I had endocarditis, which is a heart infection due to IV drug use. It's a bacteria that engulfs your heart, and it's fatal if left untreated. And it's a 6-week antibiotic course. And me and my addict thinking stayed at the hospital for a little while, and then I would leave. And then they'd catch me, and I'd come back. And it was just this cycle, again, just running, exhausted all the time. Like, exhausted, dope sick, not having anywhere to stay. Nobody wanted to be around me because I was sick. And they knew that people were chasing me, that the law was after me. So I was going from place to place. I mean, thinking back on it now, like, what the hell was I thinking? And I was comfortable with that being my life forever. That's that irrational thinking that we have. And when we're stuck in that active addiction, we don't realize it. We don't realize that we are thinking insane, you know? So I ended up getting this endocarditis on 4 separate occasions. And now it has depleted my tricuspid valve. And I have to have valve replacement surgery at the beginning of the year, 2020. And, you know, I'm excited for it so I can feel a little better. But now I'm having to deal with the consequences of an artificial valve because of the choices that I made during my active addiction. Something that could take me away from this world sooner from my children. You know? Those are the consequences of it, of using and continuing on with active addiction. So I continue to live the lifestyle, prostitution, drug use, homelessness, all this, day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. Went back to prison a second time, catching more charges, right? That was another 18 months of my life. 2 years and then 18 months. Like, that's a lot of time. Wasted. Because guess what I did when I went back to prison this time? I used in prison. You know? Got back out. Guess what I did? Started using again. Because I didn't have any self-love at that time. None. My life didn't mean enough to me to get sober. So, April of 2000 and... April of 2018. Oh my gosh, y'all. Sorry. April of 2018, April 6th, I checked myself back into the hospital because I was sick again. Sick again. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And so they did some blood work. 24 hours. Within 24 hours, I found out that yes, I once again had endocarditis. But not only that. I was 14 weeks pregnant and I was having a girl. All this information within 24 hours. My world was flipped upside down. But my first initial thought, as an addict, I can't be pregnant. I can't be pregnant. How am I going to use if I'm pregnant? That's just an addict's way of thinking. We think about ourselves first and foremost. It's just a sad fact, you know. But I had to stay in the hospital because I had endocarditis and I was pregnant, right? So I felt like maybe this was my time to get sober. So I put myself under voluntary commitment so I couldn't leave the hospital because I know what my disease does to me, right? You can leave. Like, let's leave. Let's go get a fix so you can feel better. And then we'll be right back. Right? So I told them to please put me under voluntary commitment and do not let me leave this hospital. And that's what they did. And then this amazing doctor comes into my room one day and I cannot breathe. I sit up in bed looking like death. And he's like, you don't look too good. And I said, no, I don't feel too good either. You know? So he said, let me talk to you about something. I just launched. His name is William Johnstone Jr. with the TIDES program. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. But if you are a new mother, if you are pregnant, if you plan to become pregnant, please look into the TIDES Inc. Wilmington, okay? I don't know if I was allowed to do that, but there it is. So it saved my life. Anyways, so he comes in and he says, I just launched this new program, brand new. If you decide to come into this program, you will be our first client, very first, or guinea pig. So he said that, you know, they help with maintenance medication because I was pregnant, you know, 14 weeks pregnant. What damage I could have already done to my unborn child, who knows, right? So he tells that they help you get back on your feet, and they help with like job training, and that is their vision, you know, and they want to help with housing for you and the baby, keeping the mother baby dyad intact, right? Together. So I thought, oh, the stars have aligned. This is it. This is my time. Something clicked in my brain that has never happened before. Not prison, not jail, not... I've had worse bottoms than where I was at that particular moment in time. And that's what's crazy. It's different for all of us. It's different. So that's what it was for me. Something clicked, and I decided right there, being dope sick, not feeling good, feeling like I was gonna die, that I was done. I was done using, and this was my time to get sober. So I spent my 6 weeks in the hospital getting better, getting my antibiotics, and I got out and had to go right back to prison for a parole violation. 90 days I did in prison, back to the prison that I was using at before. But guess what was different this time? Remember I said that click? I chose to not pick up ever again, or just for today, you know? So it was different, and I didn't. I focused on myself, and I focused on my recovery, even though there's not much. But anyways, so I get out, and, you know, it's not been easy. This was in, you know, August of 2018, and I had to go live with my grandmother and my dad. And that was a difficult time for me. I was super pregnant, you know, and trying to get my ish together and living with my dad. That proved to be not great, you know. So we're gonna deal in our recovery. It's just life. We have to deal with life on life's terms, right? A lot of people don't have to go through this kind of stuff. But again, my dad, I was sexually abused by my dad once again, just last year. And that shaped my recovery, and it shaped my world. And I thought, I don't want to feel this. I'm sober. I don't want to feel these feelings. I just want to climb in here, and I want to not be here, you know? But then I thought, I got this baby in here. Everybody is counting on me to fail. Krista's been an addict for over a decade. She's not going to get it now. What is different this time? What's different this time? You know what? No. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of being right. So, I pushed myself hard. I pushed myself harder than I ever have in my entire life. And I got my ish together, okay? I got my ish together. I took it one day at a time, though. I didn't try to force everything that I needed. A car, I needed a place to live, I needed clothes for me and the baby, I needed food, I needed, you know, you think about all these things that you need collectively. But for me, that didn't prove successful, trying to get everything at once. I had to take everything one day at a time, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And that's when things started to fall into place. And that worked my recovery. Now, I believe that there's all different kinds of paths to recovery, you know, as long as you're bettering your life and not using and growing each day, then boom, I'm happy for you. Like, way to go. You're a badass, right? So I just gave it all I got, you know, all I had. And I moved out of where my dad and my grandma were, and I had my daughter, and I started my life in the beginning of this year, really. And I just worked really hard, And there's obstacles, right? Obstacles. Life is gonna, especially to drug addicts. We are felons, whatever, you criminal records. Most of us do, right? That proves like hard to get a job, you know, or a place to stay. That was hard, trying to find somebody that would rent to me with my background, right? Holy crap. My credit is horrible. My credit is horrible. So you're going to face all these obstacles. But when you have something in front of you, like, whatever. When you have something in front of you, don't let it block you. You got to find a way around it. And there's always a way around it. And don't be scared to ask for help, you know? I didn't have very much family support in my recovery. So I had to get around like-minded people, get around people that have done it before, that were successful at it. I had to find people that I wanted what they had. I wanted my own house. I wanted that kind of job. I wanted that kind of recovery. So I surrounded myself with those kind of people. And I got a house. And I got a car. And I got my license back after 12 years. And I got a job. A good job. And right now, see, it's 6:30 in the morning. I get to wake up and be excited for life. I get to wake up and be excited instead of feeling anxious about how I'm going to get my next fix, or feeling sick waking up, or even if I went to sleep that night anyways, you know? I don't have to live that way today, and I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm a single mom, you guys. It has not been an easy road at all. Minimal family support, single mom, and a baby. Whew. But I did it. And it's possible. And that is my message here. Life, we do recover, for one. We do. And life after addiction is possible. No matter what you've done in your past. I have 23 felonies. 23. My credit score is 479. Okay? My reputation was horrible. I was crack whore for years. Now, in just 19 months of recovery, I am respected. People know that I'm reliable and that I'm loyal and responsible. You can change your life around at any point in time. It is never too late. It's never too late. The people closest in my life are the people that didn't believe that I could do it. And I did it anyways. So like I said, it's 6:30 in the morning. My daughter is in her room, sleeping. I'm here in my office because I run 2 businesses from home, my own. And I don't say that to gloat or to boast. I say it to let you know that it's possible. It's possible. You know? I'm gonna splice this little section in this video, okay? Let me tell you something real quick. During my active addiction, I had ruined this, right? Ruined it. I have scars all over my arms from picking and from using, right? IV drug use. My face, I have scars all over my face from picking. I lost my teeth. These are not real, okay? These are dentures. I looked like the Walking Dead. Dang. hold on, guys. Okay, so I don't have the picture that I was thinking of, but see here, this was me in like maybe my 3rd time with endocarditis. I had chopped off all of my hair in a drug-induced psychosis. I barely had any hair. I'm obviously like 85 pounds, IVs all hooked into me, looking cray, okay? I was 85 pounds soaking wet. I looked like hell, okay? Since I've been sober, I have worked on my health and wellness and getting healthy again and taking care of myself. And let me say this too, my self-love. You have to use what you can to get sober. Now, I know a lot of people say you do it for you. You can only do it for you. That wasn't my case now. That I didn't love myself enough yet. I didn't have any self-love, self-respect, self-worth to get sober for me. What are you even talking about? So I used what I could. Guys, like I said, I look crazy because it's 6:30 in the morning, right? Okay, so just point that out there. So I used the fact that I was pregnant and my daughter, and then I worked on my self-love. And now that is a process, guys. It is a practice, and it takes repetition, and it takes looking in the mirror every single day and saying, I love you. You're beautiful. You are worth it. You can do this. Feeling stupid and looking in the mirror and saying these things, knowing I look stupid, knowing I feel stupid. But it wasn't like that forever. Like I said, it's a practice and a process, and I did it every single day until it felt natural and it didn't feel stupid anymore. And then I started to develop some respect for myself, some self-love. And that's, I work on myself every day. Self-development is a huge part of my recovery. And today, I love myself. And I focus on myself more than anything. Now that might sound selfish, but if I'm not good with me, I can't take care of my daughter. I can't be there for my son. I'm not good for anybody. Unless I am taking care of me up here and here and here. You know what I'm saying? I can't. So self-love is a practice and a process. And it will come. It will. Okay, I just wanted to add this in real quick. I just want to say thank you, really, for taking the time to listen to my story, which I really tried to fit it into something small, but Dawn knows that I could probably go on for hours, right? That is just a little condensed version of my story. But to let you know that, like, I've been there. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's real talk. So, yeah, just keep your mindset right. You change your mindset and you change your life. Gratitude. Practice gratitude. You can be grateful for anything. Everything. Okay? It's huge. It's huge. I practice gratitude every day. So have the best day that you can, and thank you again.